ASIO boss Mike Burgess has moved to clarify his position on refugees from war-torn Gaza by saying his comments on the vetting process were distorted. Joining us live now, Shadow Immigration Minister Dan Tehan. Dan, good to see you. So Burgess says, and this is according to an interview which will air on the ABC on the 7:30 report tonight, that any explicit support for Hamas will always trigger an adverse security assessment by ASIO, even if a tweet is liked. That's a problem for any prospective visa applicant. Are you satisfied with that position?
I am and we are, but what we now need to hear from is the Prime Minister. What is the Prime Minister's position now when it comes to people fleeing the Gaza war zone who are coming to Australia on tourist visas? If they have sympathies for Hamas, will those visas be denied? The Prime Minister was asked this question in the Parliament twice 2 weeks ago, and he refused to answer it. So we need to hear today from the Prime Minister what is his position. We know now that over half of the 1,300 people fleeing Gaza who have come here on tourist visas have now claimed asylum. We need to know whether all of those people have had the proper security checks undertaken. The Prime Minister needs to come out today and clarify this mess of his making.
OK, so just back on Burgess, he says that, maintain that line that if it's just rhetorical support, then it would be OK. So nothing to do with Hamas. If someone just says that they support Palestinian statehood, then that's OK. Then they can come here. If that's all, you're OK with that?
Well, we've always said that we want a two-state solution when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Israel and it comes to the Palestinian territories. We've always said that we support a two-state solution. This isn't what's at point here. What we need clarification today is from the Prime Minister. Does he now back Mike Burgess? Will he now answer that very simple question that was put to him twice in the Parliament that he refused to answer? If you sympathise with Hamas, will you be allowed to come to Australia? Remembering that Hamas is a listed terrorist organisation. That is what the Prime Minister has to clarify today.
Do you still support Peter Dutton's pause on Gazan refugees coming here?
Absolutely. The coalition supports Peter Dutton when he called for that pause, because we were deeply concerned about the level of security checks which were taking place. It was unprecedented that people were coming from a war zone governed by a listed terrorist organisation on tourist visas.
Okay.
That was unprecedented. Now we've seen the mess that it's making.
Sorry, Dan. Yeah, so what if someone wants to come here who has shown no sympathy for Hamas, who has just maybe said in the past that they just want Palestinian statehood? Would that pause still apply to them, or would you be OK with accepting them to come here?
Well, obviously, what would need to happen is you would need to go through a proper process. There would need to be proper security checks, and the government would have to be able to assure the Australian people that they are following a proper process, like we did when it came to Afghanistan, like we did when it came to Syria. Yet we're seeing nothing of the like from the government. As a matter of fact, we've got a Prime Minister who cannot answer a simple question as to whether support for Hamas should allow you to come here or shouldn't. And you've got to remember, Pete, overnight we've heard from the former head of MI6 who's raised a deep concern that Iran could try to put sleeper agents into Palestinians who came here who hadn't had proper security checks done. This is a serious national security issue, and we've got to hear from the Prime Minister today about what is his position on it.
I mean, in the past, Andrew Hastie, he was among those who said he couldn't support the comments by Burgess that related to rhetorical support and that question of rhetorical support. Do you think Mr Burgess's words have been twisted in this whole debate?
Well, it's quite clear that Mr Burgess has come out and clarified his position. But we said all along, It's up to the government to set the direction on this. It's up to the Prime Minister to set the direction on this. The Prime Minister, sadly, is showing at every turn just a weakness which we haven't seen from a Prime Minister in this country for decades. Now, he has a chance today to come out and clarify his position. As I said, in the Parliament, he was asked these questions twice about did he support people coming here who had sympathies for Hamas. He couldn't answer the question. He has to answer that today. This isn't about Mike Burgess. This is about the leader of our country.
OK, you raised this, but we'll close here. 300 Palestinians have claimed asylum in Australia in 2 months. At least 749, this is according to Home Affairs, have applied for protection visas since October 7. Have you any queries over checks here?
Absolutely. We don't know whether every person who has claimed asylum has had the proper security checks done. We need to hear again from the Prime Minister on this. I mean, we knew as soon as they were using tourist visas that this was likely to come. Those people fleeing Gaza now are second on the list of those seeking to claim asylum here in Australia. They weren't even on the list 6-7 months ago. We knew that this would happen as soon as you use tourist visas. Okay. And so now the Prime Minister needs to come out and clarify, given the mess that they've made of how they've handled this situation, can he guarantee that all those people have now had the proper security checks undertaken?
OK, we will leave it there. Dan Tehan, appreciate your time as always, though. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.